How in the world do global businesses actually sleep at night, knowing a sudden currency crash could literally wipe out their entire profit margin by tomorrow morning? I mean, it's a terrifying thought, right? Picture this. You secure a massive international contract. But between the handshake and the final payment, exchange rates violently swing against you. Suddenly, your huge profit turns into a devastating loss. Well, what if I told you there's a financial shield out there that can completely neutralize this risk?
Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here with us. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of managing foreign exchange risk, specifically zeroing in on a real powerhouse of a financial tool, currency options. If you're looking to understand exactly how global money actually protects itself in the real world, you are definitely in the right place. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. We're going to start with Welcome to Options, break down calls versus puts, check out the anatomy of a trade, cover hedging market risk, and then finally wrap things up by mastering currency options.
Section 1. Welcome to Options, the financial insurance policy. Think about why a business buys property insurance, right? They pay a fee up front to ensure protection against an absolute catastrophe. If nothing bad happens, well, they just lose the fee. Financial options work exactly the same way, but for market volatility. An option is simply a contract giving the holder the right, but not the obligation, to take a specific action at a future date and a fixed price. Now, I really want to emphasize that phrase, the right, but not the obligation. That lack of obligation is the absolutely crucial foundational concept that separates options from other derivatives, like futures. If the market suddenly moves in your favor, you can literally just walk away from the option and take the better market price. No strings attached.
Now, these contracts don't last forever, obviously. They have expiry dates, and they come in three main styles. And surprisingly, these names have absolutely nothing to do with geography. An American-style option lets you exercise your right at any time on or before the expiry date. A European-style option restricts you to exercising only on the exact expiry date itself. And a Bermudan option? Well, it kind of sits right in the middle. You can exercise it on a restricted, specified series of dates.
Section 2. Calls versus puts, picking your direction.
So options basically come in two major flavors, and it's based entirely on which direction you expect the market to move. A call option gives you the right to buy the underlying item at a fixed price. You're going to want to call when you're worried the prices might go up. On the flip side, a put option gives you the right to sell the underlying item. You use a put when you need a shield against prices crashing down. Just remember, call equals buy, put equals sell. Simple as that. Naturally, the finance industry absolutely loves its intimidating jargon. But let's translate this into plain English, shall we? You'll constantly hear three terms thrown around. In the money simply means the option is profitable right now. The locked-in strike price is better than the current market price, so you definitely want to exercise it. At the money means your strike price and the market price are exactly the same, break even, basically. And out of the money means your fixed option price is actually worse than the current market rate, making it unprofitable. In that specific case, because you have zero obligation, remember, you just let the option lapse and die.
Section 3. Anatomy of a trade, inside the market.
Okay, so how are these things actually priced and traded? Because, for every buyer getting a great deal, there's got to be someone on the other side of the table. You have the option buyer and the option writer. The buyer pays an upfront cost, which we call the premium, to own the right to exercise that contract. The option writer, or the seller, receives that premium. But here's the catch. In exchange for taking that cash, the writer is legally, contractually obliged to fulfill the trade if the buyer decides to exercise it. Take a look at this real data straight from the CME exchange for US dollar against the euro options. Notice those fixed strike prices on the left? For example, 12/2000 means 1 euro equals 1.22 US dollars. Then you can see the varying premiums depending on whether you're buying a call or a put and exactly what month it expires. The general rule of thumb here? The more time until expiration or the better the strike price, the higher the premium you're going to have to pay.
To really see how this zero-sum game works, let's walk through an example from our source material. Let's say a company buys a European-style call option on 1 million euros at a 1.25 strike price. Now the premium is 2.4 cents per euro. Do the math, and this option costs exactly $24,000 up front. If the spot rate drops to, say, 1.23, well, the option is out of the money. The buyer just lets it lapse, losing their 24 grand fee. But the option writer? They just made a perfectly clean $24,000 profit for doing absolutely nothing. Probably the easiest money they'll make all day. It's a pure zero-sum dynamic. One party's exact loss is the other's exact gain.
Section 4.
Hedging market risk. Building your shield.
All right, we know what the tools are, but how does a massive global corporation practically apply these to build an unbreakable financial shield? Well, they follow a very strict, four-step logical procedure to create what's called a strategic hedge. Step 1, establish your exposure. Exactly how much foreign currency do you owe, or are you owed, and when exactly is the due date? Step 2, decide between a call or a put. Are you worried about the currency getting more expensive to buy, or maybe dropping in value before you can sell it? Step 3, pick your desired strike price from the available exchange board. And finally, Step 4, calculate exactly how many standard option contracts you need to purchase to cover your total exposure amount.
Section 5. Mastering Currency Options, the Real-World Math.
Okay, it's time to bring all these concepts together with some concrete, high-stakes math. Here is our scenario. It's November. A U.S. company expects to pay 1 million euros to a supplier in Belgium this coming March. They are terrified, and I mean terrified, that the euro will get stronger against the dollar, which would make that payment vastly more expensive. So, following our steps, they know they need to buy euros, right? Which means they buy call options. Because exchange-traded contracts typically come in batches of 125,000 euros, they need to buy exactly 8 contracts to fully cover their 1 million euros debt. They lock in a strike price of $1.24, and they pay an upfront premium of $34,300.
So what actually happens when March rolls around? Well, if the actual spot rate in March drops to $1.20, the company doesn't exercise the option. Why? Because buying at $1.20 in the open market is way cheaper than their $1.24 strike. They just let it lapse. Now, factoring in the premium they already paid, their effective exchange rate comes out to a highly favorable $1.2343. But what if disaster strikes and the euro skyrockets to $1.30? In that case, they absolutely exercise their call option, allowing them to buy at their locked-in 1.24 rate. Even with the premium cost factored in, their maximum effective exchange rate is capped at $1.2743. The insurance policy worked perfectly. They capped their worst-case scenario while completely preserving their ability to profit from a best-case scenario.
Just as a really quick aside here, the real world is rarely as clean as a flat 1 million euros. You're often going to deal with what are called imperfect hedges. Remember how those traded contracts are fixed at exactly 125,000 euros each? Well, if your business actually owed, say, 1.63 million euros, 13 contracts would get you pretty close, but it'd leave you slightly under or overhedged. In reality, finance teams simply exercise their options and then buy or sell that tiny remaining difference directly on the spot market just to square things up perfectly. Ultimately, our source material summarizes this whole concept just beautifully. It works like an insurance policy. Yes, the optionality comes with a price tag. Options cost money up front, which definitely makes them more expensive than a simple rigid forward contract. But they provide your business with a really unique, incredibly valuable opportunity. You get to benefit from favorable market movements while utterly locking down your absolute worst-case scenario. Which leaves us with this final thought. We've seen how options give businesses the real power to tame wild currency markets and, quite literally, sleep soundly at night. So if a simple contract can completely neutralize global market volatility, what other financial risk could your business eliminate today? Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and keep learning.